It is winter time. As so often, we tend to get sick, be that catching a cold, a flu, seasonal depression, anxiety, or not being able to heat your room thanks to corporate greed. Regardless of the ailment, this is what I would make if I need a pick-me-up. Corn cream soup. Now, it is a very simple but delicious recipe. You won't really need a lot for it. Now, I've got the ingredients right here. You'll need 3 pounds of corn. This is roughly 855 grams after water has been removed, or 2 pounds, give or take, for the American reviewers. 2-ish liters of water, which I have here, which is roughly 68 fluid ounces. Yeah, a cup of cream. You can also use whichever cream substitute you have. I'm using Rye-bread because this one has a little bit less fat. You also need some form of soup stock. Now, you can get away with using chicken stock. You can, in cube form, you can use veggie stock, you can use beef stock. Just make sure it's not fish stock, because fish stock sucks, at least for this soup. Now, these are just beef cube or stock cubes. You can use powdered in any form. You can even use it in those like tetrapack, whatever the fuck they're called. You can use those as well. I'll be using these. And then you'll need your basic seasonings. So you'll need your salt, you'll need your pepper, you'll need your garlic, and you can either use chili flakes or what I like to use, Gochujang. You can also use Gochugaru in powdered form, but this one gives a nice, like the spice, it's there, but it feels more warm than rather tacky, which is what I enjoy. Obviously, you'll need a pot, and most importantly, a blender. Now, I like to use the staff blender because I can just go and don't have to take it out of the pot. You can use any kind of blender you have, be that a tower blender or whatever, I don't give a shit. Use whatever you have. And that's basically all you need for the basic soup. Right, now that we have this out of the way, I like my soup with some sides. In this case, garlic bread croutons. So we'll take this yellow. Make sure it's not white bread. White bread sucks for this. Also don't use toast, use some, we call this Mischbrot. Whichever is closest to that, please use that, or some form of darker bread. Because the white bread just, it really sucks for this. It doesn't capture the taste that well, which this one does really well. Now, after that, you also need a pan. You will need some oil, whichever oil you like. I just use sunflower seed oil because I have that in decent amount. Salt and garlic. You'll also obviously need a knife. You can also use a cutting machine, but you don't really need it basically. You can also just use a normal knife, and you'll need that knife later on anyway to chop it into cubes. Now, if you don't like garlic bread croutons, you can also use these fried pot fillers, or bakjapsen as we call it here. These I will be using if the bread isn't enough, which it probably will be. Alright, let's begin.
First, you want to bring your pot with water to a slight boil and add your soup stock cubes, or soup stock in liquid form, in powder form, whichever form you chose. In this case, I chose the veggie broth and I used 4 of the cubes because that's the amount I need for 2 liters. Give it a quick stir, and then you want to add your corn. Now, in this case, 3 cans or roughly 2 pounds for 2 liters is a good ratio, which is also an amalgam of the imperial and metric measurement systems, but who gives a shit? This is a rule of thumb. Once you've added the corn, you can add your seasonings. In this case, I added my salt, pepper, garlic. Make sure you go light on the salt at first, because you can always add salt later, but you can go heavy on the pepper and the garlic. Go extra heavy on the garlic, actually. You can also add your gochujang now. You can also add it before pureeing or after pureeing, or chili flakes, whichever spice you chose. In the meantime, you're gonna let this cook and cut your bread. I'm using the deli machine to cut the loaf into slices. Like I said, you can use a normal knife as well, in case you don't have a Brotschneidermaschine. Now that that's done, you can start by cutting your bread into those squares. Don't judge my cutting technique, it works for me. Use whatever cutting technique works for you and is safe. Now that I finished cutting bread, I had 8 slices left over, so I froze them for later. In the meantime, the corn should have been done cooking, so now you can add your cream and start blending it. Make sure it is thoroughly blended. Set the soup aside, finish off your seasoning, and the soup part is done. If you just came here for the soup, this is where you can stop watching the video. Thank you for watching. For anyone who wants to fry the bread as well, this is how you do it. You want to put a pinch of salt on the bread and plenty of garlic, plenty of oil, and start frying that on the highest setting on the stove. I actually had to add a bit more oil, and as you can see, once it gets going, it goes very quickly. Ignore those 2 spills on the stove. I missed those while cooking because I was paying more attention to the bread than my surroundings. And once that's done, you can put your soup in your bowl or plate. You can use these puff thingies if you want. Like I said, I'm mostly going to be using these croutons. You can even top it off with crunchy onions. I've done that before, it's actually pretty good as well. You can also use crunchy bacon bits if you're into that. If you want to try a different recipe of this, you can also add potatoes instead of corn, and instead of chili you'll have to add nutmeg, because that's what goes with potatoes for some fucking reason. And that's the soup done. Enjoy.